Hey everybody, back to work on the Project 68 Firebird driver status, I guess we're going to call this one. I haven't come with a great clever name yet, and of course I picked the hottest day of the summer I think ever to work in the garage. It was like 95 degrees at work today, so it hasn't really cooled off too much, but I need to get this done. I had a little stretch of bad luck with the personal vehicles or my other car, the Trans Mountain Route. I had some air conditioning issues, starting issues with the truck. It seems to be I had a run on having to fix the daily driver, so finally got those squared away and moving again, so back to work on this thing here. So I want to get you up to speed. I've tinkered with a little in between things, but I guess I'll get you up to speed where we're at and make a plan for where we're going to go from here. Check it out. Well, last you saw, I had just finished removing the whole center section of the floor here. You didn't see much action in the back yet, but I went ahead and started cutting away all the rear floor pan that was under the rear seat or the back seat area. Now, when we got down to here, unfortunately, the inner rocker on the driver's side, only the rear section, kind of where the torque box area is what I call it, is in pretty good bad condition. So I have to do some patchwork on that rocker too, just the same. And when you went further up, it looked great. And even when the car was all together, it looked fine. But started taking it apart, well, this is what you find on a 50-year-old car. I guess you could say there's always a little bit of a surprise. So I'm gonna work on that. The frame rails are still looking good. I know they look rusty, but it's still really, really good metal left on them. All the tabs are still here. So I'm gonna salvage the frame rail. Even the rear trunk for what it comes in here, I've actually separated the floor pan from it. It's actually come out pretty good, except for right there, a little spot there. I'm gonna have to do some repair work. Inner fender well, a little bit of rot down here. I'll do a little patchwork on that, get that up to speed. But here's where we're at. I'm gonna start working on taking the lump here over the drive shaft, or I guess you say the rear end bump stop. There's a bracket there I gotta separate. And a little bit left of the rear floor pan, because I just took a cutoff wheel, this is, I guess death wheel, cut that thing out and cut right along the frame rail here. What I'll do now is just take an air hammer and just pop all these spot welds. They're really surprisingly weak, unfortunately, but that makes it easy for me to take it apart. But when I plug weld it back together, I'll show you how I do it. And I'll tell you, it's probably about 10 times stronger than the factory spot welds. And I work my way down here. And basically finished getting this rear section removed from that frame rail so I can prep the new floor pan installation. And as you can see, I'm standing on piles and piles of dirt and rust because I keep cutting more of this car apart. It keeps disintegrating, which, again, not a surprise. I kind of expected this. That's what you find when you start tearing a car apart. So I guess for now, I'm working on getting the air hammer out, make a little noise with this thing, and buzzing all the spot welds out. So let's get going on it. Now, how I do this, like I said, take the death wheel, cutoff wheel, cut as close as you can to the areas you want to separate, and I use a real wide air chisel bit on the air hammer, and actually just kind of like get in between the two panels and try not to distort them or cut them, but just kind of pop the spot welds. Now, if the spot weld is a better quality spot weld, you'd probably have to drill all of them out and then separate the panels, but I've learned for the most part, this older stuff, it just pops right apart. So watch this. This is the area I just got done separating, but you can see it just pops the spot welds right off. Now, I did slightly graze that with the cutoff wheel, but nothing that's, I say damaging, but just something to kind of get you an idea. But it just pops the spot welds right out, makes it really easy to prep. Instead of drilling all those out, it pops right out, and even the original metal hasn't really distorted or changed shape much. And you can see the gauge of the frame rail, still plenty of material left on it, so it's a little rusty. I'll clean this up and treat it, but that sees here that that frame rail is still plenty thick and durable at this point. Now that I've got this side all broke loose, there's also a whole row of spot welds right through here on the other side of the frame rail, because there's two sides to this. So I sometimes just take the cutoff wheel again and come back through here and just cut that wide open peel that away, and then come through here with the air hammer again with the wide chisel and pop that loose. And then I'm still actually attached to the fender well relatively well there, so I'm gonna try to salvage that because this fender well looks pretty good and it's not rotted out through here like the other side. So I'm gonna try to be a little more delicate. I'm not do any patchwork, then I gotta get the floor separated from here, but I'm hoping to get all this tore out tonight before we say 8 o'clock shutdown time. Well, that gives me room now. I cut all that out of the way. That'll give me room now that I can get the air hammer in between here and the frame rail and pop this side of the floor up. Well, it seems while working on the Rusty Relic Firebird here, working on getting the rest of that floor pan torn out of the side here, the air hammer has decided to take a glitch. I had to undo the air hose because it just kind of started taking off on its own. As you can tell here, the trigger, well, it's stuck in. It's not wanting to come back out. So something's malfunctioned inside here. And, well, it's a snap-on, and he comes on Fridays. And, well, today's not Friday. So I'm going to take this thing apart, I guess, see if I can't figure out what happened to the trigger, because kind of need it to finish the project here. So I'm going to say we're going to take a little bit of a detour and see about getting this thing fixed up. Put on the old trusty tool bench here. The first thing about these, I never really take one apart, but I figure at this point, what do I have to lose? So I need to get inside to here, and I'm thinking we'll try to take this out first, see if there's some kind of a trigger release or something. Like I said, I'm gonna start by getting this torn out first to see if I can get access to that. Now, I'll use my favorite kind of wrench. Now, unfortunately, this one's not the multimeter and several 16ths. This one's only the several 16ths version, so it doesn't have the metric application on this one. So, anyway, I'll get that going here. I went too bad. Well, don't appear to be much of anything really, just some kind of a, this is your air diverter, or I guess air volume valve thing, so whatever. Okay. Alright. Okay, well, we got a spring, some kind of a valve, and what appears to be some kind of a broken seal. So I bet you that's the problem. And then it appears the trigger pulls right out once that's removed. So, and then together. Okay, that's what holds the trigger in then. So I think I need a new seal. Now I looked online. It appears that as a rebuild kit's available for this, about 30 bucks, but I don't have time for that. It looks like that is supposed to be kind of like a square shaped rubber seal that actually holds against this little valve thingy here. And unfortunately, that should be a complete circle, and as you can see, it's kind of just like a C shape. So what's happened is this thing's about 15 years old, and I'm just too cheap to buy a new one, but I'm gonna see about making a seal here out of what I have. And of course, any good technician has a drawer in his toolbox full of goodies, and of course mine's the top one up here. It has just about anything you can imagine in here. I'm gonna look for some kind of a big O-ring of some sort that I can shape and make work. Now this is pretty close. This is a GM 3.8 supercharged water passage O-ring. Had that probably about 10 years in there, so that's a maybe. Nope. Shift linkage for Muncie 4-speed. Alignment shims. Tap. Drive shaft bolt for a Ford 8.8 rear end. Fuse. And a bunch of air conditioning O-rings. Tiny freeze plug. Light bulb. Huh, I got an idea. Allen wrench, Allen key. Wheel lock. Somebody's gonna be missing that. No, well, maybe. Maybe. That might work. Anyway, of the three, I have to make, of course, they're all way too big. What I'm going to do is just cut it, make a smaller diameter, super glue it back together, and it tucks way down inside there in the base of this opening, and stack all the pieces back inside, and I may have a working air hammer again. And of course, we're going to need some super glue. Blade. Now I don't know the exact diameter of this, but I know it's got to fit inside here and be pretty snug, and then once the glue's set, it'll actually hold it together, and I think it might work. Now, kind of cut like a C shape out of this bad boy. What I'm going to do is kind of curl it back together on itself and then glue it and see what happens. I know, it seems kind of ridiculous, but I don't have a couple days to wait for a seal kit, and I guess you could say it's one of those fun challenges or trying something a little different. And I got a shirt my kids got for me. This says, if John can't fix it, no one can. So I got to hold true to that. I got to try to give this thing a fix, but got it cut. Got some super glue on the dab of the corner of it there, so let this dry, and hopefully I don't glue my fingers to it in the meantime. Well, I now have a thick square seal type O-ring that I'm going to put down in here, see what happens. I'll get you in here. I think I got it. Looks like it's down all the way here. Now, if I can get this camera to focus, you'll see way down in there, there's that black O-ring that I just made. So I'm thinking that's going to work pretty good. Now the next trick is stacking this valve back in there and then stabbing it through this hole, so once it's all together down inside that bore, that has to hold the trigger in, and this of course wiggles back and forth. That's what lets air pass that seal, and the spring of course here pushes it shut. So I won't need these two, and I'm gonna keep this scrap in case I gotta make another one. And that piece is actually trash now, but I'd say it's a pretty close height wise. It's almost dead on, and even the diameter or the width of it is all pretty good. So I'm pretty confident that's going to make this thing work good again. I'll put these back in my drawer. Now the fun part, stacking the valve. Step one, and you can really get a good close-up of that O-ring down in there quite a ways, but we'll put the trigger back in. And you'll see it pop through, and there's the hole that I gotta get that other piece through. You see the trigger going in and out, and you'll see the hole in the middle of it there. So again, I'm gonna have to drop this thing in this way down, and that's gotta stab through the hole in the middle. Sure, this is gonna go great. Nope. We'll need like a long pick or something here. Well, I dropped the phone, and it appears that I managed to rattle that thing down into place. And it actually went in the trigger. Now, actually, you can see here now, I push the trigger, that thing, I'll move the trigger around, that thing wiggles back and forth. That's what lets the air pass that valve when you push the trigger in. And of course the spring pushes that thing down tight against it. So anyway, next step is drop the spring in, put it back together, put that valve, the air inlet valve back in, and see if this thing shuts off and works again. And the spring has looks like a dimple on the top. That faces down towards the bottom of the bore. So we'll drop that dude right in there. And we'll stack this valve in there. Shut my drawer there. Now let's see. Wow, how about that? Half a ugga-dugga. Let's go plug this thing in. And of course you see all the rust and crud here, but I need that air hose. Moment of truth, see if it takes off and makes a bunch of noise. Ha! Look at that. Well, okay. Now, that's repaired. I can go back to fixing all this. Yeah, you've been seeing some of the videos getting this all cut out, but it's getting close to 8 o'clock, so it's almost shut me down time here in the neighborhood because, well, like I said, I do live in the vinyl village, and I try to fight nice with the neighbors, or be respectful of their, I guess, peace and quiet. I'm gonna give them the best that I can. But before we go, let me see what's down here on the floor. The big old mess. That's just all the rust that's coming out of this car everywhere. Piles and piles and piles of dirt, rust, and crud. So, but maybe if you wanted to see that, here you go. That's going to about wrap it up here for me today. I'm getting close to 8 o'clock. Like I said, I like to shut it down, not to, these there hammering and banging around is kind of loud. I like to be nice to my neighbors. They're all pretty awesome, and I like to keep a good relationship with them. So, I guess you could say that today's project wasn't exactly as planned, fixing an air hammer. Well, I guess it's one of those things that just pops up and you got to figure out a solution. Do you wait around to get the tool fixed later on, or do you jump in and try to figure it out? Not overly complicated, just tore it apart. I've never had one in pieces, but not much to the trigger. And I'm pretty sure most air tools probably use a similar trigger mechanism to turn the air on and off. So a big fat O-ring, I just happened to find a nice square one. Got pretty lucky in the old junk drawer, but just wanted to share that with you. It's one of those things that don't give up. There might be another solution, Or I guess you could have bought a new air hammer, but I think it was more fun fixing that 15-year-old air hammer that I have just used the crap out of it. So been a great tool, and been an asset for doing these things. So I'm gonna get out of here, go find something to eat, get cleaned up, shut her down, get the garage shut down, and put the tools away. And I guess come back hopefully tomorrow, maybe this weekend, get some more of this floor pan done. Hopefully do some welding on the floor pan above my head, get that brace put on it, and maybe work on the rocker panel so I can get this thing back to being non-Flintstone powered. So I guess that's going to do it for me this time around. I'm hoping to make some more great progress, and appreciate you following me. If you like what you see, please subscribe. It helps me out, lets you know I'm doing the right thing. Any comments, definitely welcome. Anything you want to see, let me know just the same. And even better, hit the like button or share with your friends. I want to see this channel grow, and I hope that you enjoy or find some kind of value in what I'm bringing to the YouTube world. So I'm having some fun with it, getting the family involved, but I hope that you're getting something from it also just the same. So anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. You guys be safe out there, and we'll see you next time.